Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here, and I think I have sound today too, which is great. I have my other camera turned down on, and that's where my sound comes from. I'm sorry, I'm just a wee bit late. I wanted to pull up some pictures for you this morning, and I got to searching, and I had to rename the photos to bring them into my system. So it just took me a little bit. But I wanted to talk to you today about penguins and my penguin card. So I hope some of you will jump in and join me. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to fast forward through my blah 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 that I always start with, please go ahead and do that. And I don't mind. I know some of you are just here for the card making, and some of you want to know the backstory of everything. So, but this morning it's Casing Tuesday, and today's card is about playful penguins. And I know a lot of you probably like penguins. I really like penguins. They are such a cute animal. Have you ever been at a zoo where they've had penguins and you just watch them for a while? They are just really interesting creatures to watch. They have quite a little bit of soul in them. They're very expressive, and I really enjoy watching them. We have some here at our Boston, what is it called? The place where you aquarium, the Boston Aquarium. We have some here, and I've seen them, and they're very cute. But you know what's even better than seeing them at a zoo or an aquarium is seeing them live. And I had the opportunity to do that. Oh, it's probably been about 10 years ago. We were down in Chile in South America, and that's where my husband's family is from. And my parents-in-law came with us too, and our son, he was young at the time, he was around 10. And we went down to, we flew all the way down to Punta Arenas, which is kind of the biggest kind of city that you can get far down south. And then we drove a little bit north from there, and there was a place at the time, you can no longer, there, that place that was there when we were there 10 years ago, I've looked it up, and the penguin population I guess it just went down a lot. And there's also a mine near there, and they have shut down the area, so you can no longer see penguins there. But it was called Otway Sound, and these guys, it was amazing. First of all, I have to tell you, we went down, it was December, and that's the start of their summer. Now, in Punta Arenas, down in the southern tip of South America, it is very, very windy all the time. And even though it might be their summer, it is cold down there. Like, not super cold, but like the wind makes it really cold. So let me just pull up. This is my husband and son down in Otway Sound. And this is the boardwalk that leads to the penguin area. And of course, we had our binoculars there. We had no idea really how cool it would be until we got there. It's kind of funny seeing this picture now with my son, because he's now off at college, and there he was just little. And I know he doesn't remember probably as much from the experience as we do, but it was still a cool experience. So that's my husband and son. We're going to get ready to go to the penguins. And then we get to the area of the penguins. It's kind of all roped off. We have to obey the little paths and stuff, but they don't. And there they are. There they are marching just across kind of this tundra type area. And this is the time where they have young. So, but fairly mature young, like they're not little itty bitty. So these adult penguins go out during the day and they go fish, and then they come back at night and feed their young guys. So these are some adult penguins that are coming in from the ocean, and they're about to go be reunited with their little guys. And it was cool. They walked right in front of us. Like, they didn't have to obey the little roped off area. They just walked right in front of us. It was so cool. One of the coolest animal experiences I've had in my life. Oh, and then there was an area where you could walk down, where you could see them by the ocean. There was kind of like a place where they wanted you to be kind of like a boarded up place, because the wind whips off the ocean right there, and it is quite something. And so these are the little guys coming off the ocean, and you know, this is their summer, so they live in some pretty harsh conditions, and they're coming in, and you know, you see the sun glinting off the ocean, you think, wow, this is midday. Actually, because we were heading to the it was almost Christmas at that point. So it was actually close to the longest day of the year for them. So they had like really, this was probably, I know we were there in the evening. So we were there like later in the day. So it was just still very, very bright out. So it's just phenomenal. If you ever get a chance to see them, I highly recommend it. I had a look, and like right now down in Chile, you actually, there's an island where they have penguins, and you can go and see them, but you have to take a boat out there, and because the seas are sometimes very choppy and so windy there, often those tours will get canceled. So having them there at Otway Sound was so phenomenal, because you could actually drive there and view them. So, oh, Kayla says we have penguins where I live. Is that like, it must be in the southern hemisphere somewhere? Is it like Australia, New Zealand, that area? Because I think, aren't they only in the southern hemisphere? We have puffins in Canada, like in the north, but we don't have penguins up there. So yeah, it's very cool. And if you are from Australia or New Zealand, I do want to get down there one day. Chile was a phenomenal place to go visit. Oh, Tasmania, Australia. You know, I have like a kind of a friend acquaintance who's in Tasmania, and she works for the orchestra there. So I know people, but thanks for joining me today. And my talk about penguins, 7 minutes in, sorry guys. But yeah, it's just kind of neat to have an experience with penguins. And I digress, because the reason I want to talk about penguins today is because of the Playful Penguins Stamp Set. And let me just pop over to my other camera just for a moment. This is the stamp set right here. And I love this stamp set because the penguins look realistic in a sense, but then they have unrealistic little elements to go on them. So I think that's kind of like the fun thing about the set, and one of the things I really like about it. It's not a set where the penguins are kind of drawn like they would be like to make them like animated or a cartoon penguin. These are like penguins that kind of look like real penguins, but then we have some fun elements like the scarf and the bow tie and the hat that we can add on to them to kind of make it a little bit more fun. So that's the reason I brought up my penguin photos today. There was one little guy with going back to the penguins. There was one little guy who was just standing on a mound, and he was like howling. And I had no idea why he was howling. I don't know if he had lost his chick or it was a she. And it was just so mournful. And you just wondered what happened to this little guy that he was just so sad. It was an adult penguin. Or maybe it was like, I don't know. I just felt like it was a sad cry. And I wish someone would have been there to translate for me, because he was just kind of standing there with his head up, like in one of these little, this little guy right here with his head up. Like that is definitely a posture of a penguin, and he was just singing, and just wanted to know what was up with him. Okay, enough penguin talk. Today's Casing Tuesday, and we pick a card out of the catalog. Let me show you which one it is. It is this one right here. It is such a cute card with the little birdies and the hats. And I don't have that stamp set, but I think I probably should get it. But it's just a very sweet, sweet card. And that is the card that we're basing our makeover today. So we also have a sketch for that. And here's our little sketch. So if you want to follow along and use the sketch, there are some measurements for you that can help you with your card. My measurements are slightly different, so if you want to copy my card, just have a look at my blog. And all of these things are on my blog, and there's a link to that in the description of this video. All right, let me officially switch to my other camera so we can do some card making today, this morning, besides talking about penguins. So here is my card for today, and I kind of took those little birds and I substituted them, and 3 did not fit across, but oh, let me see if I can reach my other card. I did try 3. Oh, it's so far. I've got a cable running across my room, and I don't want to disconnect it because it's the internet cable, and okay, here we go. Whew, that was hard. So I did try it with 3, but with 3 you kind of have to make it a horizontal card. And after I did it, I feel like it's a little too crowded up at the top maybe. So if I had to do this card over again, I think I would do something a little different. I would probably bring the birds down a little bit, and I'm not quite sure how I would do that and keep all of the elements of the card. But if I wanted to do 3, I mean, it's not a bad card. It's definitely not a bad card, but I think having a little bit more headspace up here is a good thing. It looks just a little bit crowded to my eye. So this one is just a little bit more, you know, a little bit more, less crowding. So I just had to drop down the birds to 2 if I'm doing it a card in portrait mode. So how do I do that? Well, first of all, I need a piece of paper. I had to cut a bunch of these stitched rectangles for a project, and now I'm using the insides of these. So we're going to use our Memento ink pad, and I've got 2 of the penguins already on a block. So I'm just going to tap, tap, tap. I find with this particular stamp, you want to kind of tap on the ink rather than smush it like this, because I feel like the eye kind of gets obliterated a little bit when I smush. So I'm just going to stamp this on here. And then I'm going to do the same for this other little guy. I have to do a little bit of tapping. I want to make sure all the stippling on the penguin is there. Okay. And then we can stick these aside. I'm going to bring in the scarf, and I'm going to stamp the scarf in 2 colors. I'm using Blueberry, Bushel, and Real Red. So let's do Blueberry first. And I'm just going to, again, tap, 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 tap. So I am eyeballing this. I don't put the stickers on my stamps, as you can probably tell. I don't like the stickers. I got so used to not using the stickers that like now I just don't even want them. The stickers are really sticky if you put them on, and the cling is just perfect for me, and I can tell by the shape of the stamp which way is up, or sometimes I have to look with words, but trust me, I like it better without the stickers. And if you want to use the stickers, fine, go ahead, use the stickers. It's not a big deal, but I just find that it's faster if I don't use the stickers, and I don't have to deal with the super stickiness of the stickers. So that makes me happy. Okay, I've cleaned this off, but my what is it called? My stamping mat, this little guy here, it is very wet today, so I'm just drying it off a bit on some scrap paper. And this is Real Red here. And I'm just going to scoot this up right about there. Ooh, that turned out pretty well. I really like those. Okay, so this set does not have a die. I know. That's going to make some of you say, I don't want this set. And I actually have lost my paper snips. But No worries, because I've already cut these out. I think my paper snips are somewhere where I was cutting these, and I have no idea where that is. So, in the interest of time, I actually just cut them out. I find when I'm cutting, it's easier to cut in between the legs first and then go around rather than trying to do that little piece in the end. So that's just a little tip. Some of you don't like fussy cutting. Some of you love fussy cutting. So if you don't like to fussy cut, maybe this isn't going to be your favorite card. But these can also just be stamped on your focal point without actually cutting them out. So like no worries on that front, right? So what do we need to do next? We need to stamp. I want to just put my blue ink pad away. Why did I do that? You need a piece of Whisper White, and this piece measures 3 5/8 inches by an inch, which I think is slightly different than the original dimensions. And I'm going to take my greeting. This is such a nice friendship greeting. It's like, it says, "Nothing warms the heart quite like a good friend." So I'm going to make sure that I really want to stamp this close to the bottom. So I have enough room up at the top for my little birds to stick their feet on. So I really stamp that close to the bottom. Okay, I think I've done all my stamping now. We need to do a little bit of embossing. So I will bring my big shot in, and we have these are our 3D embossing folders. And since we got these new ones since July, these new 3D embossing folders are a little thinner than our original ones. So you need to use either our new blue embossing plate, which you can purchase in the store, or you can shim it up using our original plate. Since it's just, it's a thick embossing folder, a 3D embossing folder. This one's called the High Seas, which I thought was appropriate for my penguins. After you saw the penguins in the ocean photo, you might understand why. So the High Seas, so I'm going to put my piece in so it kind of, the seas runs vertically. You want to put your folder right down on the base platform and then your plate on top. If you leave your plate on the top and put the embossing plate down first, your embossing folders will start to curl eventually, and you do not want that because that will eventually lead to their demise. So you want to protect your embossing folder by having it down on the flat surface of your plate. And then if this blue plate curls, that's okay. It's still going to emboss everything, but you want to protect your folder from damage from the curling. So just wanted to show you that, just because of our new embossing plates. I just wanted to mention that. If you have a different type of die cutting machine, then you might not have an issue. Some of them shim up automatically or squeeze automatically, so you might not have a problem. But if you have a big shot and you're using the new folders, you might want to get the thicker plate, or you're going to have to figure out how many shims of cardstock to put in to get it up to the right height. So there is my layer, and I also have a card base. Now I could have just embossed the front, but when I have a full-on layer of embossing, I usually just emboss a separate piece so that this front doesn't have a back side that looks funny and embossed. So my card base is 11 inches by 4 1/4 inches, and then I scored in half the 5 1/2 inch mark. I'm going to take some Tombow. Which side do I want? This side. This side is going to be my up side. So I'm going to put glue on the back. I left my glue open last night. Do you ever do that? So it's okay. It's not too bad. I left it on its side so it didn't clog up too badly. But like sometimes I forget, like I'm just like running around, and the last thing I do is I forget to put the cap on my glue. It's even more annoying when I leave an ink pad open. I hate it when I do that. All right. So there's the base of my card. And then I have another piece, and this piece measures 3 1/8 by 4 1/2. And I'm going to take some of this red, it's called Real Red Curly Ribbon. It's in the holiday catalog. So it's definitely something holiday-ish. I'm just gonna wrap this around here to kind of see how much I'm gonna need. And I'll grab my, reaching over backwards, grab my ribbon scissors and cut off a piece. So I am just going to go, I'm doing left over right, and then I'm going to clamp with my locking tweezers. There we go. And then I'm going to do right over left. And this ribbon seems to be wanting to unravel. So since it's unraveling, I will unravel it further because otherwise it's going to look funny. And I have a little weird piece sticking out there too. Okay. I know. So I'll just take my, let me do this first. Let me even out the two ends so that they're even. This reminds me of ribbons I used to put in my hair when I was a little girl. You have these ribbons and they kind of would unravel. It feels like that texture. I don't know. Maybe you're the same age as me. Maybe you remember these ribbons. I used to, my mom used to braid my hair and we'd put ribbons in it. Okay, so I'm just kind of getting rid of some of the straggly pieces. And I'll flatten this down in a second. I feel like there's a few stray strands that are rebelling here. Let me pull this out. All right, give this a little bit more of a knot. Okay, I feel like it's starting to behave. I might need to trim it a little bit more when I get it into position. Now on the back of this, I'm going to pop some dimensionals. Oh, and you know what? I have these edge dimensionals that that I still use. So I just kind of cut them up into pieces. And I just, because these aren't really cut, so I just kind of cut them like this and use them. Yes, I do. I don't know if you do that too, but I just don't want to throw them away because I feel like you can still use them in some way, shape, or form. Here, let me stick this one in the middle. And so I just, you know, cut up little pieces. In this case, you can't really see the behind, so I don't really mind doing kind of a weird hack job of my little dimensionals. So, you know, it is what it is. But I feel like I can still use those little pieces. Oh my. Okay, I'm removing the backings, but I have no fingernails right now. I cut them really short the other day. Okay, so now I can stick this on here. I'm standing up because I want to be able to center this and I need a bird's eye view. Okay, hopefully that is somewhat centered. And then I can take the rest of my pieces. I can arrange this to the point where I want it. And I'm going to take this piece next and just put some Tombow in the center. And put this right above here. You want to make sure it's centered from side to side and that it's straight. And then you can kind of figure out where do I want my little penguins. So just kind of add them on here. See, like I really feel like this card is kind of a different version of the original card because it's got birds sticking out. I'm wondering if anyone else will do a similar card because this was the first thought that came to my brain. And sometimes I'm like, oh, does anyone else have the same thought as me when it comes to making cards? I don't know. I often feel like I have a different pattern in my head than other people, but that's good because other people have different patterns in their head too. When they go to make the card, they give the card the makeover. It just looks different than the original. I'm gonna see if I can scooch that penguin over just a bit. All right, there is the card, and I want to show you when I cut this ribbon, it was holding together a little bit. There's a little thread that wraps its way around this to make it kind of give it its curliness. So I left this one intact because it didn't want to fray like this one. And then this one, just, it wants to be rebel, so I let it unravel, which I think it looks nice too, having it come out like this too. But it's definitely a different look, and it makes the bow a little bigger. Maybe you can squish it together a little bit. There. So isn't that cute? I just love the stamp set. It's just a very sweet little stamp set. Little add-on that doesn't have a die, but I don't know. I think they're adorable. All right, let me move back over here. There I am. Okay, well, I have not seen any questions come through. Oh, and Kayla, yes, to answer your question, I think it is the Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra. Yeah, that my friend works at. We both used to live in Tennessee, and so yeah, we. If you want to private message me, and we can talk about that. But yeah, I don't want to talk about her name out here because that would be not private or anything like that. But yeah, it's kind of cool because I've lived in a few little places, and when you live in a few places, like, you start to learn, like, meet different people, and then they move away, and yeah, so I've got connections in different parts of the world, maybe not quite as spread out as some people, but yeah, an interesting little history I have, but maybe a lot of people have that too. But I have a feeling that I've just because of my background, I have a few little interesting niche little things. Anyway, oh well, thank you so much that you liked my card today, and if you need any of the ingredients or the supplies for that, you can go to my blog, and I'll have a clickable supply list so you can learn more about the products I used today, and you can buy them from me if you wish. And so I will be back here with another card on Tuesday. Oh, I have to show you my Christmas tree. Let me pop on over here. Grab my Christmas tree. This was a new tutorial I did last week, and this is a Hershey's Christmas tree, and this one holds 16 Hershey's Kisses in the back, which is larger than all the other Christmas trees I've had in the past. So I've had one that holds 4 kisses, and I think though there's one that holds 9 kisses, I believe. And then this one holds 16. So now you can make Hershey's Christmas trees in 3 different sizes. And this one also has a tutorial for the gift box. So if you're interested in Christmas crafting, head on over to my blog. Down at the bottom, you will see a link to this Christmas tree tutorial. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you back here next week. Oh, and don't forget, if you want to join our Casing Tuesday Facebook group and make over a card with us, that link is down below too. So join us for that, definitely, because it's always fun to see the cards that you do, not just the cards that I do. All right, guys, have a great week. See you back here next week. Bye.